Welcome to the first project of this course. In this video, we are going to build our own Notion homepage, which is a really common thing in Notion. This will be our central hub, which we can use to navigate to different parts of our workspace and to have one central dashboard to get started. Now, before we dive in, I just want to remind you that when you get started with Notion, you typically iterate over your workspace dozens of times. So for example, my Notion setup looked completely different when I first got started compared to how it looks now. And that's completely normal because as you learn Notion and as you discover new features, and as you get comfortable with Notion, you will find new ways of organizing your workspace. So please don't try to make this first homepage perfect. It's going to be a really simple example to just demonstrate how you could set this up. And I can almost guarantee you that you will change this page over time. So don't worry if it doesn't feel completely right in the first place. You will change it anyway in the future. Since this is our first project, you will also find the template for this project in the description down below. So if you don't want to build it out yourself, you can just duplicate it into your workspace and then use that as your starting point. I highly recommend that you do follow along with this video though, because working with Notion yourself is how you actually figure out how stuff works and how you get comfortable using it as your day-to-day tool. To get started, we'll actually delete all these pages that Notion has generated for us. Because we don't need them for now. So if you want to keep them, you can do that, but we'll not need them for this course. So you can just also delete them if you don't want to have them. We'll only keep the page that we created. And here we'll also just delete all the content because that is also not relevant. So let's go through all of that and delete it. And now let's actually rename the page. So instead of calling it "this is a page," let's call it "home," because this is going to be our home page. The next thing we want to do is to customize the page, because what makes Notion so special and so great is that you can really customize pages to fit your style and to make you feel at home in your productivity world, basically. So one of these features that Notion has is the ability to add icons. So like this, you'll see how we get this icon over here, and it also appears in the sidebar over here. And we can change this up. So let's actually go for something that makes more sense for our homepage. Let's just use the home icon. Next, we can also add a cover, which is also just a visual enhancement of our Notion workspace. It doesn't actually add anything, it just makes it look more beautiful. So we can do that. It will automatically add one, but you can go to change cover and then look for any cover that you want. You can upload your own, you can use Unsplash, you can use this NASA archive. It basically is completely up to you. So let's just use this one. Looks really nice. So yeah, let's go with that one. Next, we'll add a call out to our homepage, which is just going to be like a greeting for us when we come back to our workspace. So let's say something like, "Welcome back, Janosch," and exclamation mark, and we'll make this bold. Again, I'm using some of the shortcuts Notion has. We'll go into detail on how to use them later, but you can also just make it bold this way. Now we actually want to split up the homepage into two sections because we want to have one section for our private kind of use cases and one for our basically our work use cases. So we'll add two headings. I'll use the H2 for this. So I'll say private. And I'm going to give this a background color just to make it look nicer. Let's go with purple. Not really visible, so maybe something else. Let's go with red. Yeah, perfect. And I also want to do this for the work part. So instead of just doing this again, I can just click on duplicate and then I'll just change the text. So I'll just put in work over here. And now we can drag these next to each other in order to make it a bit nicer. So now we'll add pages for some of the use cases or things we might want to do inside of Notion. And these are also the use cases and tools that we'll build throughout this course. Not all of them, but some of them at least. So yeah, let's get started. So inside my private section, basically, I'm just going to add a new page with the /page command. And I'll call this goals. So this is going to be my goals page where I can add my goals, do goal tracking and stuff like that. I'm also going to add an icon and I'm going to choose the target icon for this like that. Go back to the home page and now we can add additional pages. Now I'm not going to show you all this because this will be much too boring. So I'm just going to speed through this a bit and I'll add some pages and we'll see each other at the end. All right, so we're back and I have created some pages in both of these sections. I've just added some icons here as well to make it look a bit nicer. And you can obviously add different pages. This really depends on what you want to do. Again, this is more for demonstrational purposes. And we'll actually be building some of these like a meeting notes database and a CRM, and also like a learning list. So you will see how these things might be implemented inside of Notion. But again, it's totally up to you. And I'm just here to kind of help you, guide you, and give you some inspiration of what you can actually do with Notion. To finish up our Notion homepage, we're also going to be adding a habit tracker. And this is going to be a really simple tool to help you track your habits. So we'll add a new heading and call this habit tracker. And we'll give this a background again. So we'll give this a red background. And we'll also want to make this full width like this. And now we'll basically add a full week of habits in there, and then you will be able to track them by checking off checkboxes. So the first thing we want to do is we want to add a new heading, call this Monday, and then we want to add the checkbox for the habits. So let's say your habit might be wake up at 7 a.m. Another one might be drink 2 liters of water. Then you might want to do meditation, so meditate for 50 minutes, and then go running for 30 minutes. So let's imagine that these are basically your daily habits. And now to create this really simple habit tracker, we just have to duplicate this. Now what I want to do is to make it a bit nicer in style. So I'll actually add a color to this heading. And now I can copy and paste all of this. So just basically highlight it with your mouse and then press Ctrl D to duplicate it. And you can do that how often you like. You can just do it multiple times like this. And that's actually what we want. So now let's actually grab all of that and let's move it next to this Monday. We have to move this up a bit, and let's do it for the other ones as well. And again, this isn't the most practical habit tracker in Notion ever built. There's much better ways to do this, but it's just more for really quick demonstrational purposes, what you could do with Notion. All right, so now we're set up and let's change the days. I'll speed through this again because you don't want to see this. All right, and now we're back and we're also finished with the habit tracker. So again, really simple. You could also add the Saturday and the Sunday as well. I've just decided to include only the weekdays. And now you can use this simply by checking off these boxes whenever you do one of these habits on a particular day. And yeah, that's how it works. Now again, as I said, it's not the best implementation. It's not really scalable and you can't use it over and over again, but we will actually improve this habit tracker in later videos. So you can definitely stay tuned for that. And with that, we're finished for this video and we'll move on to learn a bit more about Notion templates.